Well, tapping into creative food sources is opening up the market for startups that make healthy, sustainable food products. CCTV's Shraysi Tandon has more on one startup company hoping to expand the Western palate using crickets.
Walk down a busy street in China or Thailand, and they're not too hard to find. Food vendors selling a variety of crispy, crunchy, and occasionally juicy insects. But in the U.S., such sights are rare to non-existent. Eating insects in Western countries is anything but common. But that may be slowly starting to change. Greg Siewitz and Gabby Lewis are founders of Exo, a new startup company that's creating protein bars with a twist: cricket flour. In addition to raw natural ingredients such as dates, almond butter, cacao, and coconut, Exo's protein bars have 10 grams of protein, sourced exclusively from crickets. Inspired by a 2013 UN report on food security, the former Brown University roommates decided to create food made from crickets, all done with a greater ambition to help reduce global greenhouse gases and solve the global food crisis.
Crickets require a fraction of the resources compared to conventional livestock. It's between 10 and 20 times more efficient to raise crickets for protein than cattle. On the methane side, crickets produce 80 times less methane than cattle. They reproduce at a much faster rate. Single female cricket can lay 1,500 eggs in a few weeks, and you can farm them vertically as well. So it's less feed, less water, less space.
And Exo says crickets are a better protein source, with cricket flour packing more protein gram for gram than dried beef, chicken breast, or sirloin steak. Siewitz says they worked with farms already raising crickets as food for pets and adjusted their practices.
So we changed the feed that the crickets were on to an organic certified feed. They're raised in their own facilities, separated from any of the crickets meant for the pet food. And actually now there are a couple farms that have started solely to be only human-grade cricket farms.
Each Exo protein bar has around 40 crickets worth of powder. I tried the peanut butter and jelly flavor, which tasted just like I imagined. Partly sweet, partly nutty, and no hint of anything unusual. The recipes for Exo's protein bars come from Kyle Connaughton, a former Michelin-starred executive chef who is now part of the team at Exo.
In its latest seed round, Exo raised over $1 million from a number of investors, including Collaborative Fund, which has backed startups like crowdfunding site Kickstarter and ride-sharing app Lyft. With a lot of buzz and excitement surrounding its products, Exo founders say there's still some hurdles to overcome, especially psychological.
I think it's a purely irrational psychological bias, and we've mostly grown up in a culture here where insects are viewed as pests rather than food. But it's mostly in our heads, and there have been other foods which we also view as disgusting, and they've made this transition from weird to normal, or from novel to mainstream. So I always come back to sushi as the key example.
Exo's protein bars are currently sold in 150 locations across the U.S. and shipped internationally. Many countries across Asia, South America, and Africa already eat insects as part of their diet or as a local delicacy. Exo is hopeful consumers across the Western world will open their minds and their mouths and develop a taste for cricket one bar at a time. Shraysi Tandon, CCTV, New York.
Well, as we heard there, startups may need to get more creative to meet consumer needs and stand out from the crowd.